What did you steal?
Secrets?
Are they...
No.
Let's take a look at today. Let's... I hear it's the most crazy thing I've ever seen. What's happening?
People are starved for the truth.
Welcome to Z Cineplex, say your ultimate entertainment destination. Welcome to Z Cineplex, the home of entertainment, creativity, and cinematic excitement. Our channel is dedicated to bringing viewers a rich collection of engaging content that celebrates the world of movies, storytelling, and visual entertainment. Whether you're a passionate film enthusiast, someone who enjoys discovering new cinematic experiences, or simply looking for high-quality entertainment, Z Cineplex is designed to be your go-to destination. We strive to create content that is informative, enjoyable, and engaging for audiences of all ages, offering a unique blend of movie-related features, entertainment updates, insightful discussions, creative videos, and much more. Every upload is crafted with attention to quality, ensuring that our viewers receive an enjoyable experience that keeps them coming back for more. At Z Cineplex, we believe that cinema is more than just watching films. It's about experiencing emotions, exploring stories, appreciating creativity, and connecting with people who share the same passion for entertainment. Our mission is to build a vibrant community where movie lovers and entertainment enthusiasts can discover exciting content, share their opinions, and stay connected with the latest trends in the entertainment industry. We are committed to consistently improving our content, embracing new ideas, and delivering videos that entertain, inform, and inspire our growing audience. Disclosure Day is a 2026 American science fiction thriller directed and produced by acclaimed filmmaker Steven Spielberg, working from a screenplay by longtime collaborator David Koepp, based on an original story conceived by Spielberg himself. Blending elements of science fiction, mystery, political suspense, and psychological drama, the film explores humanity's response to one of the most profound discoveries in history: the confirmation of extraterrestrial intelligentsia and the far-reaching consequences that unfold when long-hidden truths are finally revealed. Featuring a distinguished ensemble cast led by Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, Eve Hewson, and Coleman Domingo, the film presents a tense, character-driven narrative that examines themes of government secrecy, public trust, fear of the unknown, scientific discovery, and the moral responsibilities that accompany world-changing revelations. Combining Spielberg's signature sense of awe with suspenseful storytelling and emotionally grounded performances, Disclosure Day offers a thought-provoking cinematic experience that balances spectacular science fiction with deeply human drama. Development on the project began in April 2024. When reports emerged that Steven Spielberg's next directorial effort would center on the subject of unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and extraterrestrial life, a theme that has fascinated the filmmaker throughout his career and has previously inspired celebrated works such as Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Shortly thereafter, it was confirmed that David Koepp, who had previously collaborated with Spielberg on several major productions, had been hired to write the screenplay based on Spielberg's original story treatment. As the project continued to take shape over the following months, Universal Pictures officially joined the production as the film's worldwide distributor, while Emily Blunt was announced as the lead performer, with additional casting gradually assembling an acclaimed ensemble of award-winning actors. The combination of Spielberg's direction, Cope's screenplay, and an accomplished cast generated significant anticipation among both critics and audiences, making the film one of the most eagerly awaited releases of 2026. Principal photography commenced in February 2025 and continued through May 2025, with filming taking place across a variety of locations in New York and New Jersey. The production utilized a combination of practical locations, large-scale sets, and advanced visual effects to create a grounded yet visually spectacular depiction of a world confronted with extraordinary events. Spielberg emphasized practical filmmaking techniques wherever possible, combining realistic environments with carefully integrated digital effects to enhance the authenticity of the film's suspenseful atmosphere. Complementing the film's visual style is an original musical score composed by legendary composer John Williams, whose work on Disclosure Day marks his 30th collaboration with Spielberg. Williams' score blends sweeping orchestral themes with subtle, atmospheric compositions that heighten the film's emotional resonance, mystery, and escalating tension while reinforcing the sense of wonder that has long characterized Spielberg's science fiction films. Disclosure Day celebrated its world premiere on June 2, 2026, at the historic Le Grand Rex Cinema in Paris, France, where it was introduced to critics, members of the international press, invited guests, and film enthusiasts ahead of its worldwide theatrical rollout. Following its successful premiere, the film was released theatrically in the United States on June 12, 2026, by Universal Pictures as one of the studio's major summer releases. Upon its release, the film received generally positive reviews from critics, with particular praise directed towards Spielberg's assured direction, the emotionally compelling performances of the ensemble cast, David Cope's intelligent screenplay, John Williams' evocative musical score, and the film's ability to combine classic science fiction storytelling with contemporary themes surrounding transparency, global uncertainty, and humanity's place in the universe. The film also proved to be a significant commercial success, grossing approximately $216.3 million worldwide during its theatrical run. Its strong financial performance, coupled with its favorable critical reception, further reinforced Steven Spielberg's enduring reputation as one of cinema's foremost storytellers and established Disclosure Day as one of the standout science fiction films of 2026. Disclosure Day opens against the backdrop of a world teetering on the edge of catastrophe. International tensions have escalated to unprecedented levels, and the threat of World War III looms as governments prepare for the possibility of global conflict. Amid this atmosphere of political instability and widespread fear, brilliant cybersecurity specialist Dr. Daniel Kellner makes a life-altering decision by stealing highly classified material from his employer, the Wardex Corporation, a powerful and secretive United States defense contractor that has spent decades operating beyond public scrutiny. Hidden within the files, Daniel steals thousands of confidential documents, encrypted hard drives, classified research reports, and an extraordinary piece of extraterrestrial technology unlike anything ever created by humanity. Even more astonishing are decades of recorded evidence documenting secret encounters between human governments and extraterrestrial beings, including classified footage, scientific studies, and historical records dating back to the infamous Roswell incident, revealing that world governments have concealed the existence of intelligent alien life for generations. Daniel's daring theft is quickly discovered, prompting an intense pursuit led by Wardex's chief executive Noah Scanlon, a ruthless corporate leader determined to prevent the truth from becoming public. Scanlon corners Daniel inside a secure Wardex facility, but Daniel uses the stolen extraterrestrial artifact as leverage, threatening to activate its mysterious power if anyone attempts to stop him. The confrontation allows Daniel to escape alongside his girlfriend, Jane Blankenship, and the pair flee into hiding. Seeking sanctuary away from Wardex's surveillance network, Jane takes Daniel to an abandoned convent where she once lived, believing the secluded religious retreat will provide temporary protection while they determine how to expose the conspiracy that has remained hidden for decades. Meanwhile, in Kansas City, respected NBC meteorologist Margaret Fairchild begins an ordinary workday that unexpectedly transforms her life forever. As she prepares to leave for the television studio, a bright red cardinal suddenly flies through the window of her home. The strange encounter triggers an inexplicable neurological and psychic transformation within Margaret. Almost immediately, she begins experiencing vivid flashes of intuition, hearing fragments of other people's thoughts, sensing emotions she cannot explain, and speaking languages she has never learned. Although confused by these extraordinary abilities, Margaret continues with her scheduled weather broadcast. During the live television segment, however, she unexpectedly loses control and begins speaking fluently in a completely unknown language before millions of viewers. The bizarre broadcast rapidly spreads across social media, becoming a worldwide viral sensation and attracting the attention of intelligence agencies, scientists, and conspiracy theorists alike. The mysterious transmission also captures the attention of Wardex, whose analysts immediately recognize the language Margaret has spoken as one previously encountered during decades of classified extraterrestrial research. Believing Margaret may represent an unforeseen threat to their carefully protected secrets, Wardex dispatches agents disguised as FBI investigators to locate and capture her. After undergoing medical examinations at a local hospital, Margaret begins to suspect that those claiming to protect her are hiding their true identities. Trusting her newly awakened psychic instincts, she escapes the hospital moments before Wardex agents attempt to take her into custody, launching a desperate search for answers about the impossible abilities she has suddenly acquired. While evading capture, Daniel reveals the truth to Jane about the organization they are fleeing. He explains that Wardex has secretly imprisoned living extraterrestrials for decades, conducting experiments on them while reverse engineering their advanced technology for military purposes. The corporation has suppressed all evidence of alien contact in order to maintain global political control and technological superiority. Daniel admits that he has secretly been working with the network of whistleblowers determined to expose the truth to humanity. When he later watches footage of Margaret's viral television broadcast, he instantly recognizes the alien language she unknowingly spoke. Unlike anyone else, Daniel is able to understand her message, realizing that her words carry a warning of extraordinary importance connected to the extraterrestrial presence on Earth. Determined to recover both Daniel and the stolen evidence, Noah Scanlan turns to the advanced alien technology in Wardex's possession. Using one of the mysterious extraterrestrial devices, he establishes a powerful telepathic connection with Jane, manipulating her thoughts and temporarily overriding her free will. Under Scanlan's influence, Jane unexpectedly attacks Daniel before leading Wardex operatives directly to the motel where the couple has sought refuge. Although Daniel narrowly avoids capture during the confrontation, he ensures Jane escapes with the extraterrestrial artifact before Wardex agents successfully apprehend him and transport him to one of the corporation's hidden black site research facilities. Margaret's psychic abilities continue to evolve, allowing her to perceive Daniel's location despite never having met him. Guided by instinct and an unexplained mental connection, she infiltrates the secret detention facility where Daniel is being held. Upon finally meeting, the two discover an extraordinary psychic bond linking them together. Rather than relying on violence to escape, Margaret instinctively projects feelings of empathy and compassion into the minds of their captors, temporarily overwhelming their hostility and convincing several guards to release them. Their escape is short-lived, however, as one of Scanlan's loyal operatives, Casper Boyd, pursues them in a high-speed chase before deliberately crashing his vehicle into the side of a moving freight train. Daniel manages to pull Margaret to safety just moments before impact, and together they climb aboard the moving train, narrowly escaping another attempt on their lives. Their journey eventually leads them to Hugo Wakefield, a former senior Wardex employee who now leads an underground organization composed of scientists, engineers, intelligence officers, and whistleblowers dedicated to exposing the truth about extraterrestrial life. Hugo reveals that his group has secretly reconstructed Margaret's childhood home, believing the location may help unlock deeply buried memories that were deliberately suppressed years earlier. Inside the recreated house, Margaret and Daniel gradually recover shocking memories from their shared childhood. When they were both 10 years old, they were simultaneously abducted by extraterrestrial beings during the same mysterious encounter. Rather than harming the children, the extraterrestrials implanted each of them with complementary psychic abilities intended to prepare humanity for a future moment of revelation. Daniel received the ability to understand and interpret extraterrestrial communication and technology, while Margaret developed powerful empathic and telepathic gifts that would one day enable direct communication between humans and alien visitors. Hugo further reveals that the extraterrestrials have quietly observed humanity for decades, often disguising themselves as harmless animals including birds such as the cardinal that awaken Margaret's memory in order to monitor Earth's development without causing widespread panic. Recognizing that the moment for disclosure has finally arrived, Hugo and his team devise an ambitious plan to reveal the truth to the entire world. Together with Margaret and Daniel, they infiltrate Margaret's television station, intending to interrupt regular broadcasting and transmit undeniable evidence of extraterrestrial life across every available communication network. As the operation begins, Noah Scanlan and Wardix forces launch a final assault, successfully cutting electrical power to the station in an effort to silence the broadcast. At the crucial moment, Jane arrives carrying the stolen extraterrestrial device and entrusts it to Margaret. Drawing upon its mysterious energy, Margaret restores power throughout the building, allowing the broadcast to continue despite Wardix's efforts. Confronted with the inevitability of the truth becoming public and realizing that decades of secrecy can no longer be maintained, Scanlan abandons his campaign of concealment. Watching from the control room, he silently accepts defeat as Margaret announces to the world that the long-awaited moment has arrived, a moment she declares to be Disclosure Day. At the same time, Daniel uploads every classified file he stole from Wardix directly to an international satellite network, broadcasting decades of suppressed evidence to billions of viewers worldwide. Television stations across the globe are interrupted as images of extraterrestrial spacecraft, alien beings, secret government experiments, and historical encounters including the Roswell incident appear live on screens everywhere. News anchors struggle to comprehend the unprecedented footage as governments, military leaders, scientists, and ordinary citizens watch in stunned disbelief. Around the world, nations preparing for war pause their military operations as humanity collectively confronts the greatest revelation in its history. The escalating march toward global conflict appears to halt almost instantly as attention shifts from international divisions to humanity's place within a far larger universe. In the film's emotional conclusion, Hugo introduces one of the surviving extraterrestrials he secretly rescued from Wardix years earlier into the television studio. The being quietly approaches Daniel and whispers a message in the alien language only he can fully understand. Daniel translates the words for Margaret, who turns toward the television cameras and addresses the entire world one final time. Beginning with the simple yet profound word "listen," she repeats the extraterrestrial message, symbolizing the beginning of a new era in human history, one defined not by secrecy, fear, and conflict, but by truth, understanding, and the possibility of peaceful coexistence between humanity and intelligent life beyond Earth. As billions of people watch, Disclosure Day closes with the promise that the greatest chapter in human civilization has only just begun. The ensemble cast of Disclosure Day is led by an accomplished group of award-winning actors whose performances bring emotional depth, dramatic intensity, and credibility to Steven Spielberg's science fiction thriller. Blending established Hollywood veterans with rising stars, the cast portrays scientists, journalists, government officials, intelligence operatives, whistleblowers, and ordinary citizens whose lives become intertwined as humanity confronts the unprecedented revelation of extraterrestrial life. Each character contributes to the film's exploration of truth, secrecy, morality, and the global consequences of exposing one of history's greatest conspiracies. Emily Blunt stars as Margaret Fairchild, a respected Kansas City television meteorologist and former investigative journalist who becomes the emotional heart of the story. Margaret's ordinary life changes forever after a mysterious encounter triggers extraordinary psychic abilities, allowing her to perceive the thoughts and emotions of others while communicating in an unknown extraterrestrial language. Initially overwhelmed by the sudden transformation, she gradually discovers that her abilities are connected to long-suppressed childhood memories and an alien encounter that altered the course of her life decades earlier. As the conspiracy surrounding Wardix begins to unravel, Margaret evolves from an unsuspecting television personality into humanity's primary voice during its first confirmed contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. Throughout the film, Blunt delivers a powerful and emotionally layered performance that balances vulnerability, intelligence, determination, and compassion as Margaret accepts her pivotal role in revealing the truth to the world. Delaney Cuthbert portrays young Margaret, appearing in flashbacks that reveal the character's childhood experiences, including the mysterious extraterrestrial encounter that granted her remarkable psychic abilities and shaped her destiny long before she understood their significance. Josh O'Connor portrays Dr. Daniel Kellner, a brilliant cybersecurity specialist employed by the secretive Wardix Corporation who becomes one of the film's central protagonists after exposing one of the greatest conspiracies in human history. Once a trusted member of Wardix's classified research program, Danielle secretly steals highly sensitive documents, advanced extraterrestrial technology, and decades of hidden evidence proving the existence of intelligent alien life before becoming a whistleblower determined to reveal the truth to humanity. Resourceful, courageous, and morally driven, Daniel risks everything including his career, freedom, and life yet to prevent Wardix from continuing its decades-long campaign of secrecy. As the story unfolds, he discovers that he shares an extraordinary psychic connection with Margaret dating back to their childhood alien abduction, making him an essential figure in humanity's first direct communication with extraterrestrial beings. O'Connor's performance combines emotional restraint with quiet determination, portraying Danielle as both a gifted scientist and a reluctant hero. Tyler Renault appears as young Danielle, portraying the character during pivotal childhood flashbacks that gradually reveal the origins of his mysterious connection with Margaret and the extraterrestrials. Colin Firth plays Noah Scanlon, the calculating and enigmatic chief executive officer of the Wardix Corporation. Scanlon serves as the film's principal antagonist, overseeing the organization's decades-long effort to conceal extraterrestrial life while exploiting alien technology for scientific and military advancement. Intelligent, composed, and fiercely protective of the secrets under his control, Scanlon believes that revealing the truth would plunge civilization into chaos and potentially destroy global stability. Throughout the story, he directs the relentless pursuit of Daniel and Margaret, utilizing advanced extraterrestrial technology, covert operatives, and psychological manipulation in an effort to prevent public disclosure. Although initially portrayed as ruthless and uncompromising, Scanlon ultimately recognizes that the truth can no longer remain hidden and reluctantly abandons his lifelong mission of secrecy. During the film's climactic broadcast, Firth delivers a nuanced performance that presents Scanlon as a complex antagonist driven not solely by ambition but also by a genuine belief that he is protecting humanity from consequences it may not yet be prepared to face. Eve Hewson portrays Jane Blankenship, Daniel Kellner's devoted girlfriend and a former religious novice whose spiritual background shapes her response to the extraordinary events unfolding around her. Compassionate, resilient, and deeply loyal, Jane provides emotional support for Daniel as he attempts to expose Wardix's conspiracy while becoming an active participant in the dangerous mission herself. During the story, she becomes the unwilling target of Wardix's advanced extraterrestrial technology, which allows Scanlon to manipulate her thoughts and temporarily control her actions. Despite this traumatic experience, Jane ultimately regains her independence and plays a decisive role in the film's conclusion by delivering the stolen alien device that enables Margaret to complete the worldwide broadcast exposing the truth. Hewson portrays Jane with warmth, emotional sensitivity, and quiet inner strength, making her one of the film's most sympathetic supporting characters. Coleman Domingo stars as Hugo Wakefield, the former director of biological assets at Vortex, who abandons the organization after becoming disillusioned with its unethical treatment of extraterrestrial life. Once one of the corporation's most trusted scientific leaders, Hugo defects and establishes an underground network of former Vortex employees dedicated to exposing decades of government secrecy. As an advocate for full disclosure, he serves as mentor, strategist, and protector to Daniel and Margaret while revealing the hidden history of their childhood encounters with extraterrestrials. Hugo also secretly safeguards one of the surviving alien beings rescued from Vordex's captivity, preserving humanity's opportunity for peaceful first contact. Domingo delivers a commanding performance that combines wisdom, compassion, and quiet determination, portraying Hugo as the moral conscience of the film and one of its most inspiring figures. Wyatt Russell appears as Jackson, Margaret Fairchild's supportive boyfriend. Although initially unaware of the extraordinary circumstances surrounding Margaret's transformation, Jackson provides emotional stability as her life becomes increasingly consumed by unexplained psychic phenomena and government pursuit. His concern for Margaret's well-being reflects the perspective of an ordinary citizen suddenly confronted with events beyond rational understanding. Henry Lloyd Hughes portrays Casper Boyd, Noah Scanlan's uncompromising head of security and one of Vordex's most formidable operatives. Fiercely loyal to Scanlan and highly trained in tactical operations, Casper leads numerous attempts to capture Daniel and Margaret throughout the film. His relentless pursuit culminates in several intense action sequences, including the dramatic freight train confrontation that nearly ends the protagonist's escape. Lloyd Hughes presents Casper as an efficient and intimidating antagonist whose unwavering commitment to Vordex's mission makes him one of the story's most persistent threats. Elizabeth Marvel portrays Sister Mora, the compassionate abbess of the monastery of St. Clara of the Dawn. As the spiritual leader of the convent where Daniel and Jane briefly seek refuge, Sister Mora provides sanctuary during one of the story's most dangerous moments. Her calm wisdom and quiet faith contrast with the growing chaos surrounding the extraterrestrial conspiracy, emphasizing themes of hope, compassion, and moral courage. Hassan Park appears as Serena, a senior Vortex field agent responsible for coordinating intelligence operations and pursuing Daniel and Margaret during their flight from the corporation. Intelligent, disciplined, and highly resourceful, Serena represents Vordex's sophisticated surveillance network and operational capabilities. Tommy Martinez portrays Dave Santiago, one of Hugo Wakefield's trusted associates and an active member of the underground disclosure movement. Working alongside fellow defectors, Dave assists in protecting Daniel, gathering classified evidence, and coordinating the operation that ultimately broadcasts the truth to the world. Gabby Beans plays Angela Childs, a talented Vortex analyst whose expertise in intelligence and communications contributes to the corporation's efforts to locate the stolen extraterrestrial data and track Daniel's movements. Her work illustrates the technological sophistication behind Vordex's decades-long cover-up. Jeremy Shamos portrays Claypool, an employee at Margaret's Kansas City television station. Although occupying a relatively minor role, Claypool contributes to the newsroom sequences that establish Margaret's professional life before she becomes central to the unfolding global crisis. Brandon Wilson appears as Nathan Twinning, another former Vortex employee who defects from the organization and joins Hugo Wakefield's disclosure network. Nathan assists the Resistance Group in exposing classified information and preparing the worldwide broadcast that ultimately changes human history. Priyanka Kedia portrays Grace Hall, a supporting character whose involvement contributes to the broader international dimension of the unfolding extraterrestrial revelation, while Elliot Viller appears as Diaz, an experienced Vortex field operative assigned to pursue the whistleblowers. Noah Robbins portrays Muncie, another Vortex agent participating in the corporation's extensive efforts to recover the stolen evidence and silence those seeking disclosure. Michael Gaston appears as General Dobbs, the senior military liaison assigned to coordinate Vordex's relationship with the United States Armed Forces. As the representative overseeing the organization's military interests, Dobbs highlights the strategic significance of extraterrestrial technology and the geopolitical consequences of revealing its existence. The film also features several notable cameo appearances. Professional wrestlers Brian Cage, Lance Hoyt, and Chavo Guerrero Jr. briefly appear as the Blue Wrestler, the Red Wrestler, and the Wrestling Referee, respectively. During one of the film's televised sequences, veteran Today stage manager Davey Auerbach portrays a Rock Center news producer during the climactic media coverage of Disclosure Day. Elizabeth Stanley appears as a KCXC television news anchor, while Courtney Grace portrays the NBC anchorwoman who delivers the historic breaking news report as humanity witnesses definitive evidence of extraterrestrial life for the first time. Patricia Connolly also makes an uncredited appearance as Ruth, adding to the film's extensive ensemble of supporting performers. Together, the cast delivers a compelling blend of emotional realism, suspense, and humanity that anchors Spielberg's ambitious science fiction narrative and elevates Disclosure Day into a character-driven exploration of one of mankind's greatest imagined discoveries. The development of Disclosure Day began long before the project was officially announced, with director Steven Spielberg spending much of the summer of 2023 developing what would become one of his most personal and ambitious science fiction films in decades. Rather than beginning with a completed screenplay, Spielberg first wrote an extensive 60-page story outline over the course of approximately 2 months, carefully crafting the film's central narrative, characters, themes, and major story beats. This detailed treatment served as the creative foundation for the entire production and reflected Spielberg's long-standing fascination with extraterrestrial life, government secrecy, and humanity's relationship with the unknown. Unlike many of his previous projects, which were based on novels or existing intellectual properties, Disclosure Day originated from Spielberg's own original concept, allowing him to explore ideas that he had reportedly been contemplating for many years. The story combines large-scale science fiction spectacle with intimate human drama, examining the emotional, political, scientific, and philosophical consequences of humanity learning that intelligent extraterrestrial life has existed in secret for decades. Spielberg later revealed that one of the principal inspirations behind the project was glowing orbs and black money, the Pentagon's mysterious UFO program, a groundbreaking investigative article published by the New York Times in 2017. The article detailed previously undisclosed U.S. government investigations into unidentified aerial phenomena and renewed public discussion surrounding classified military encounters with unexplained objects. Spielberg explained that reading the report rekindled his lifelong fascination with UFOs and extraterrestrial intelligence, subjects that had previously inspired some of his most celebrated films, including Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Rather than creating another traditional alien invasion story, however, Spielberg envisioned a suspenseful and emotionally driven thriller centered on the consequences of revealing decades of hidden government secrets and humanity's struggle to confront an entirely new understanding of its place in the universe. In April 2024, the project was officially announced to the public, with confirmation that Spielberg's next directorial effort would be an original science fiction film focused on unidentified flying objects and extraterrestrial life. It was simultaneously revealed that acclaimed screenwriter David Koepp, one of Spielberg's most trusted creative collaborators, had been hired to adapt Spielberg's extensive story treatment into a feature screenplay. The collaboration marked another reunion between the two filmmakers following their work together on several major productions, including Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, War of the Worlds, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and The Fabelmans. Koepp received Spielberg's original treatment electronically and immediately began transforming the director's vision into a complete screenplay while maintaining the emotional core and thematic intentions established in Spielberg's outline. The screenplay underwent an extraordinarily extensive development process. According to Koepp, he ultimately completed 42 separate drafts of the screenplay before the script reached its final format, the highest number of screenplay revisions he had ever written during his career. Reflecting on the experience, Cope described the project as particularly meaningful because the story represented an idea Spielberg had carried with him for decades rather than an adaptation of someone else's work. He explained that this created a unique creative responsibility, stating that he felt a strong obligation to faithfully realize Spielberg's vision while simultaneously contributing his own storytelling instincts as the screenplay evolved. Cope noted that although his previous collaborations with Spielberg often involved adapting novels or established franchises, Disclosure Day required him to help Spielberg tell an intensely personal original story, making the writing process unlike any he had previously experienced. During development, Cope also made a deliberate creative decision regarding the film's terminology. Rather than frequently using the word alien, he intentionally chose alternative expressions such as extraterrestrial, biological life forms, and non-human biologics. Cope explained that the decision was motivated by a desire to prevent audiences from associating the term alien with contemporary political debates surrounding immigration, thereby ensuring that viewers remain focused on the film's science fiction narrative rather than drawing unintended political interpretations. This careful choice of language reflected the filmmaker's broader effort to create a grounded and believable world in which discussions of extraterrestrial life felt scientifically credible while avoiding unnecessary distractions from the story's central themes. As development progressed, the project rapidly assembled an impressive creative team. In May 2024, Universal Pictures officially joined the production as the film's worldwide distributor, further confirming the studio's confidence in Spielberg's latest science fiction epic. 1 month later, Emily Blunt was announced as the film's lead actress, taking on the pivotal role of the television meteorologist Margaret Fairchild, whose extraordinary psychic transformation drives much of the narrative. Blunt's casting generated significant excitement among audiences and industry observers, marking her first collaboration with Spielberg and establishing her as the emotional center of the film. Between August and December 2024, the ensemble cast continued to expand with the addition of several acclaimed performers. Colin Firth joined the production as Noah Scanlon. The enigmatic head of the secretive Wardex Corporation Eve Hewson was cast as Jane Blankenship. Daniel Kellner's devoted partner Coleman Domingo signed on to portray Hugo Wakefield. The former Wardex executive-turned-whistleblower Josh O'Connor was cast as cybersecurity specialist Dr. Daniel Kellner, and Wyatt Russell completed the principal cast as Jackson, Margaret's supportive boyfriend. Spielberg's casting process reflected the strong reputation he has built throughout his career, with many of the principal actors set including Emily Blunt, Colin Firth, Josh O'Connor, and Henry Lloyd Hewson being offered their roles directly without being required to audition. The filmmaker's confidence in their abilities underscored his desire to assemble an ensemble capable of delivering emotionally authentic performances within the film's high-concept science fiction framework. The project also represented the continuation of several ongoing creative relationships within Spielberg's filmmaking career. Coleman Domingo became the third actor Spielberg had cast across multiple projects, including an unrealized biographical film about composer George Gershwin, while Eve Hewson and Elizabeth Marvel reunited with Spielberg following previous collaborations. These recurring partnerships reflected Spielberg's long-standing preference for working with performers whose artistic instincts align with his collaborative directing style. Among the principal cast, Eve Hewson later described her casting experience as particularly memorable. Rather than participating in a conventional audition process, she was invited to meet Spielberg through a private Zoom conversation, during which the director personally introduced the project and informed her that he had a screenplay he wanted her to read for the role of Jane. Shortly afterward, a representative from Spielberg's production team personally delivered a printed copy of the script to her. Following a second virtual meeting, Hewson shared her own ideas regarding Jane's personality, motivations, and emotional journey with Spielberg. Impressed by her interpretation of the character and the collaborative discussion, Spielberg officially offered her the role before the end of the same week, demonstrating the highly personalized casting approach that characterized much of the film's development. As pre-production transitioned toward filming, additional members of Spielberg's creative team were announced. In May 2025, Academy Award-winning costume designer Paul Tazewell revealed that he had joined the production to design the film's costumes. The project marked Tazewell's second collaboration with Steven Spielberg following his acclaimed work on West Side Story, 2021. His involvement ensured that the film's visual aesthetic would complement Spielberg's grounded approach to science fiction, combining contemporary realism with subtle design elements that reflected the evolving emotional and political landscape of a world confronting the reality of extraterrestrial life. By the time principal photography began, Disclosure Day had assembled an exceptional creative team led by Spielberg, David Cope, and a distinguished ensemble cast, laying the foundation for what would become one of the most anticipated and critically acclaimed science fiction films of 2026. Principal photography for Disclosure Day officially commenced on February 26, 2025, operating under the working title Non-View, a temporary production name used to maintain secrecy surrounding Steven Spielberg's highly anticipated science fiction thriller during filming. Production was centered primarily in New Jersey and New York, with Spielberg and his crew utilizing an extensive combination of real-world locations, practical sets, and purpose-built studio environments to create the film's grounded and realistic visual style. From the outset, Spielberg emphasized practical filmmaking techniques over excessive reliance on digital environments, a creative philosophy that has characterized many of his most celebrated productions. Filming continued for approximately 3 months before principal photography concluded in late May 2025, making Disclosure Day one of Spielberg's largest and most ambitious location productions in recent years. Even before cameras began rolling, the production launched an extensive casting campaign for background performers across the northeastern United States. On January 16, 2025, an open casting call was issued seeking Long Island-based background actors to portray enthusiastic professional wrestling fans for a major sequence scheduled to be filmed on March 4, 2025. The wrestling event, which appears early in the film and helps establish the everyday world before the extraterrestrial conspiracy unfolds, was filmed inside the historic Paramount Theater in Huntington, Long Island, New York. To create an authentic arena atmosphere, hundreds of extras filled the venue while professional wrestlers and production crews recreated a televised sporting event. Throughout March 2025, additional casting notices were released seeking local performers throughout the Hudson Valley region of New York and Middlesex County, New Jersey. Participants in the Middlesex County casting call were specifically required to provide and drive their own vehicles during large-scale roadway scenes, while applicants in the Hudson Valley were recruited to portray hotel guests, restaurant patrons, and various everyday civilians appearing throughout the film. Other specialized casting calls sought performers capable of portraying North Korean soldiers, reflecting the film's global political backdrop and its depiction of escalating international tensions prior to humanity's first confirmed extraterrestrial disclosure. Among the production's most technically demanding sequences was the film's spectacular freight train chase, which was filmed during March 2025 along the Cape May Seashore Lines Railroad in southern New Jersey. Rather than relying primarily on computer-generated imagery, Spielberg insisted on staging much of the sequence using practical effects and real vehicles. According to actor Henry Lloyd Hughes, who portrays Wardick's security chief Casper Boyd, the production used an actual moving freight train during filming, and the dramatic collision involving a speeding automobile was performed practically rather than being created digitally. Lloyd Hughes personally drove the vehicle toward the train tracks for portions of the sequence, while extensive safety precautions were coordinated by the stunt department. Spielberg devoted nearly 3 weeks of the production schedule to filming this elaborate action set piece, carefully capturing multiple angles of the pursuit, with several additional days dedicated specifically to the dramatic collision involving the vehicle carrying Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor. The resulting sequence became one of the film's most suspenseful and visually ambitious moments, showcasing Spielberg's continued commitment to practical filmmaking and large-scale action choreography. During early April 2025, production relocated to the McGinley Square neighborhood of Jersey City, New Jersey, where several urban exterior sequences were filmed. The neighborhood's distinctive streets and architecture provided an authentic backdrop for scenes involving government surveillance, covert pursuits, and public encounters as Margaret and Daniel attempt to evade Wardick's operatives. Throughout filming, local residents frequently observed Spielberg directing scenes on location, with production crews transforming ordinary city blocks into highly controlled filming environments complete with emergency vehicles, tactical personnel, and elaborate camera setups. Numerous real-world locations were utilized throughout New Jersey and New York to represent the film's diverse settings. The New Jersey Innovation Institute, located at the New Jersey Institute of Technology in Newark, served as the fictional KCXC television station, where Margaret Fairchild works as a meteorologist and where the film's climactic worldwide broadcast ultimately takes place. Spielberg also secured permission to film inside the actual NBC control rooms at 30 Rockefeller Plaza in New York City, lending remarkable authenticity to the newsroom sequences. Rather than relying entirely on actors, many genuine newsroom employees and production personnel appeared on screen in supporting roles, further enhancing the realism of the television broadcasting environment. Additional practical locations were carefully selected to represent several key narrative settings. The secluded West Virginia safe house, where Daniel Kellner and Jane Blankenship temporarily hide while evading Wardick, was not an existing building but a fully constructed set erected at Foster Fields in Morris Township, New Jersey. Meanwhile, the exterior of the convent providing refuge for the fugitives was filmed at the historic community of St. John Baptist in Mendham Township, New Jersey, whose peaceful religious architecture contrasted dramatically with the escalating conspiracy unfolding throughout the story. Another major action sequence, the quarry vehicle pursuit, was filmed at Dibble's Quarry in Elka Park, New York, where rugged terrain and steep rock formations created an ideal setting for the high-speed chase. Meanwhile, the classified archival footage depicting decades of secret extraterrestrial encounters was filmed at an industrial facility in Staten Island, whose utilitarian appearance effectively conveyed the atmosphere of heavily restricted government installations. The mysterious Wardick Corporation headquarters was realized through a combination of practical locations and large-scale studio construction. Exterior scenes depicting the imposing corporate complex were filmed at the modern Canon America's headquarters in Malville, New York, whose sleek contemporary architecture provided an ideal visual representation of the secretive defense contractor's headquarters. Interior scenes, however, required significantly more elaborate production design. These were filmed at Steiner Studios within the historic Brooklyn Navy Yard, where production designers constructed an expansive custom-built Wardick's headquarters set featuring laboratories, command centers, research facilities, security checkpoints, executive offices, detention areas, and technologically advanced control rooms. The extensive set enabled Spielberg to stage many of the film's largest dramatic confrontations while maintaining complete creative control over lighting, camera movement, and production logistics. Following approximately 3 months of filming across numerous locations, screenwriter David Cope confirmed in June 2025 that principal photography had officially concluded in late May, allowing the production to transition into post-production, where visual effects, editing, sound design, and John Williams' musical score would be completed ahead of the film's 2026 release. One of the most widely discussed moments during production involved the memorable sequence in which Margaret Fairchild unexpectedly began speaking an unknown extraterrestrial language during a live television broadcast. Actress Emily Blunt later recalled that she had initially been informed that portions of her performance might be enhanced during post-production using advanced artificial intelligence-assisted vocal processing to create the mysterious alien language, rather than relying on technological enhancement. However, Blunt instead chose to utilize her extensive vocal training to invent an entirely original system of sounds, rhythms, and vocal patterns herself. She performed the complete sequence in a single uninterrupted 4-minute take, creating the alien dialogue entirely through her own vocal performance without requiring digital manipulation. Her dedication to crafting the language naturally contributed significantly to the authenticity and emotional impact of the scene. Following Blunt's comments, however, Steven Spielberg publicly clarified that artificial intelligence had not been used in the completed film for her performance, firmly stating that he would never have used AI in the production. Spielberg emphasized that the alien language heard in the finished film was entirely the result of Blunt's own remarkable performance, underscoring both the actress's commitment to the role and the production's broader emphasis on practical craftsmanship over artificial technological shortcuts. Together, the extensive location photography, large-scale practical sets, ambitious action sequences, and commitment to authentic performances helped establish Disclosure Day as one of Steven Spielberg's most technically accomplished and visually immersive productions in recent years. The musical score for Disclosure Day was composed by legendary Academy Award-winning composer John Williams, marking his 30th collaboration with director Steven Spielberg and further extending one of the most celebrated creative partnerships in the history of cinema. Officially announced in October 2025, Williams' involvement was met with widespread enthusiasm from film enthusiasts and critics alike, as the composer returned once again to provide the musical identity for another Spielberg science fiction epic. Over the course of more than 5 decades, the Spielberg and Williams partnership has produced some of the most iconic film scores ever written, including those for Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, Minority Report, War of the Worlds, Lincoln, The Fabelmans, and many others. Disclosure Day represents another significant milestone in this historic collaboration, demonstrating that even after decades of working together, both filmmakers continued to challenge themselves creatively by exploring new approaches to cinematic storytelling through music. Williams began composing the score during the summer of 2025, shortly after principal photography had progressed sufficiently for Spielberg to present him with early edits of the film. Rather than composing around completed visual effects sequences, Williams worked closely alongside Spielberg throughout post-production, carefully shaping the musical language to complement the film's emotional progression, psychological tension, and atmosphere of mystery. The composition process extended over several months, reflecting the meticulous craftsmanship for which Williams has long been renowned. Instead of relying on extensive electronic textures commonly associated with modern science fiction films, Williams developed a richly orchestrated score that emphasized subtle emotional expression, restrained suspense, and gradual thematic development while maintaining the orchestral sophistication that has defined his career. Recording sessions for the score were conducted over a remarkably extensive period, taking place across 7 separate recording sessions spread over approximately 6 months. This prolonged schedule allowed Williams and the orchestra to refine individual musical passages, experiment with orchestration, and ensure that each cue precisely matched Spielberg's evolving edit of the film. The final recording session concluded on February 20, 2026, marking the completion of one of Williams' last major orchestral works before the film entered its final stages of post-production. Throughout the recording process, Williams collaborated closely with Spielberg, the music editors, orchestrators, recording engineers, and the production's post-production team to achieve a musical score that would enhance the film's emotional impact without overwhelming its intimate character-driven storytelling. Unlike many of Williams' earlier collaborations with Spielberg, a particularly grand adventure film such as Indiana Jones or inspiring science fiction works like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the score for Disclosure Day deliberately adopts a more restrained and understated musical philosophy. Rather than dominating the emotional rhythm of individual scenes through bold thematic statements, Williams crafted music designed to operate almost invisibly beneath the narrative, subtly reinforcing atmosphere, suspense, and emotional nuance. This approach reflects the film's focus on psychological tension, government secrecy, and gradual revelation rather than spectacle alone. The score frequently combines delicate orchestral textures, sustained harmonic writing, atmospheric strings, restrained brass passages, expressive woodwind melodies, and carefully measured crescendos that slowly build emotional momentum without drawing attention away from the performances or dialogue. In June 2026, shortly before the film's theatrical release, Steven Spielberg discussed Williams' creative philosophy for the score during promotional interviews, revealing that the composer intentionally chose a markedly different approach from many of their previous collaborations. According to Spielberg, Williams explained his artistic vision by saying, "This time I'm going to write music not to lead the film, I'm going to write music onto the film to give it the slight nudge forward." Spielberg noted that while classic Williams scores for films such as Close Encounters of the Third Kind and the Indiana Jones series relied heavily on bold, instantly recognizable symphonic themes that actively drove the narrative, Disclosure Day required a more subtle musical language. Rather than constantly announcing emotional shifts through large orchestral motifs, Williams sought to support the story almost invisibly, allowing the performances, dialogue, and suspense to remain at the forefront while gently guiding the audience's emotional experience. Spielberg described this understated approach as evidence of pure John Williams' genius, emphasizing that although the score was less overtly thematic than some of Williams' earlier masterpieces, it remained unmistakably the work of one of cinema's greatest composers. The completed soundtrack features a sophisticated orchestral composition that balances mystery, wonder, emotional intimacy, and escalating suspense. Throughout the film, Williams carefully avoids sensationalizing the extraterrestrial elements, instead using music to emphasize humanity's emotional response to the revelation of life beyond Earth. Gentle motifs accompany moments of personal discovery, while darker harmonic textures underscore the secrecy surrounding the Vortex Corporation and the moral dilemmas faced by its characters. As the narrative approaches its climactic worldwide disclosure, the score gradually expands into broader orchestral passages that evoke both uncertainty and hope, ultimately reinforcing the film's central themes of truth, unity, and humanity's place within the larger universe. Coinciding with the film's theatrical debut, Backlot Music released the official soundtrack album in digital format on June 12, 2026, allowing audiences to experience Williams' complete musical compositions outside the context of the film. The digital release included the score's principal themes along with the full orchestral cues featured throughout the motion picture. For collectors and soundtrack enthusiasts, Waxwork Records subsequently produced physical editions of the soundtrack, preserving Williams' composition in premium collectible formats. The release was warmly received by film music enthusiasts, many of whom praised the score's emotional sophistication, orchestral craftsmanship, and restrained elegance while recognizing it as another distinguished chapter in the extraordinary creative partnerships between Steven Spielberg and John Williams. As the composer's 30th collaboration with Spielberg, the soundtrack to Disclosure Day stands not only as an essential component of the film's emotional storytelling but also as a significant milestone in one of the most influential director-composer relationships in cinematic history. The marketing campaign for Disclosure Day was one of Universal Pictures' largest promotional efforts of 2026. With the studio reportedly investing approximately $80 million to promote the film worldwide. Designed to build anticipation while preserving the story's biggest surprises, the campaign reflected Steven Spielberg's long-standing preference for mystery-driven marketing rather than revealing major plot developments before release. Throughout the promotional rollout, Spielberg insisted that the film's entire third act remained completely absent from all advertising materials, ensuring that audiences would experience the story's most significant revelations, including its emotional climax and the full scope of the extraterrestrial disclosure for the first time in theaters. This carefully controlled strategy emphasized atmosphere, suspense, and curiosity instead of relying on extensive plot exposition, allowing the marketing to generate widespread speculation without compromising the film's narrative impact. The campaign officially began on December 10, 2025, with an unexpected viral marketing initiative that appeared simultaneously across several major American cities, including Los Angeles and New York City. Large outdoor billboards displayed a mysterious image of an upside-down human eye positioned within the silhouette of a bird, accompanied only by the cryptic tagline "All will be disclosed." Spielberg. June 12, 2026. Notably, the advertisements deliberately omitted the film's title, cast, and plot details, instead relying solely on Spielberg's name and the enigmatic imagery to spark public curiosity. The unusual design immediately generated widespread discussion across social media platforms, entertainment websites, and fan communities, with audiences attempting to decipher the meaning of the symbolic artwork and speculate about Spielberg's secretive new science fiction project. The campaign successfully established an atmosphere of mystery reminiscent of the filmmaker's earlier promotional strategies for classics such as Close Encounters of the Third Kind, encouraging viral online conversation while revealing virtually nothing about the story itself. Just 6 days later, on December 16, 2025, Universal Pictures officially unveiled the film's title, Disclosure Day, alongside the release of its first teaser trailer. Rather than debuting online first, the teaser premiered exclusively in theaters ahead of screenings of Avatar, Fire and Ash, allowing one of the year's largest theatrical releases to introduce audiences to Spielberg's upcoming science fiction event. The teaser offered only brief glimpses of the film's atmosphere, featuring mysterious aerial phenomena, cryptic government imagery, Emily Blunt's character experiencing unexplained psychic visions, fleeting shots of extraterrestrial technology, and ominous dialogue hinting at a long-hidden global conspiracy. Consistent with Spielberg's wishes, the preview deliberately avoided revealing the film's central narrative or its climactic revelations, instead emphasizing suspense, mystery, and emotional intrigue. Following its theatrical debut, the teaser was released online, where it quickly accumulated millions of views and became one of Universal's most discussed promotional releases of the year. The marketing campaign expanded significantly on February 8, 2026, when a new television spot premiered during Super Bowl LX, one of the most-watched television broadcasts in the United States. Airing alongside advertisements for many of Hollywood's biggest upcoming releases, the Super Bowl commercial introduced audiences to previously unseen footage while maintaining the campaign's commitment to secrecy. The spot showcased spectacular visual effects, large-scale action sequences, mysterious extraterrestrial imagery, and emotionally charged moments featuring Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor, all without revealing the film's ultimate resolution. The high-profile placement during the Super Bowl dramatically increased public awareness of the film and positioned Disclosure Day as one of the summer's most anticipated cinematic events. The following month, on March 12, 2026, Universal Pictures officially released the film's theatrical poster alongside its full-length official trailer. The poster prominently featured the film's principal cast against a backdrop of mysterious celestial imagery, reinforcing the themes of extraterrestrial discovery, government secrecy, and global uncertainty. Meanwhile, the official trailer provided audiences with a more substantial look at the film's story, introducing its principal characters, the clandestine Waradix Corporation, and the escalating international crisis surrounding the existence of extraterrestrial life. While revealing additional dialogue, dramatic confrontations, and larger-scale visual effects, the trailer continued Spielberg's carefully managed strategy of concealing all major third-act developments, ensuring that the film's most significant emotional and narrative moments remained entirely absent from. In April 2026, the marketing campaign reached industry professionals during Universal Pictures' presentation at CinemaCon, where attendees were shown an extended exclusive preview of the film. The presentation highlighted several suspenseful sequences, additional footage of the principal cast, and selected scenes demonstrating Spielberg's direction and the film's visual effects. Although the extended footage offered exhibitors and members of the press a more comprehensive look at the production, Universal continued to withhold material from the film's climactic final act, preserving the mystery that had become the defining characteristic of the entire promotional campaign. As the theatrical release approached, Universal launched the campaign's final major promotional push. On May 27, 2026, the studio released the final theatrical trailer together with an exclusive IMAX poster, emphasizing the film's large-scale visuals and encouraging audiences to experience Spielberg's latest science fiction spectacle on premium format screens. The final trailer highlighted the film's emotional stakes, suspenseful action sequences, and breathtaking cinematography while continuing to avoid revealing the story's ultimate resolution. The accompanying IMAX artwork reinforced the film's epic scope by showcasing its extraterrestrial imagery and emphasizing the immersive presentation available in large-format theaters. The campaign concluded with several television advertisements and promotional partnerships during the weeks leading up to the film's release. Among the most notable was a 30-second television commercial that premiered on June 4, 2026, featuring professional baseball shortstop Francisco Lindor appearing as himself. Filmed at Citi Field, the commercial blended scenes from the film with Lindor's appearance, introducing the movie to sports audiences while expanding its promotional reach beyond traditional film marketing. The advertisement formed part of Universal's broader effort to appeal to mainstream audiences across multiple demographics in the days immediately preceding the film's nationwide release. Throughout its promotional campaign, Disclosure Day distinguished itself by embracing an unusually restrained marketing philosophy centered on secrecy, suspense, and audience curiosity. Rather than revealing major story twists or showcasing the film's climactic extraterrestrial revelations, Universal Pictures and Steven Spielberg carefully constructed a campaign that encouraged speculation while protecting the integrity of the theatrical experience. Supported by an estimated $80 million global marketing budget, the combination of viral billboard campaigns, theatrical teaser releases, high-profile Super Bowl advertising, CinemaCon presentations, IMAX promotions, television commercials, and strategic partnerships successfully positioned Disclosure Day as one of the most anticipated and widely discussed science fiction films of 2026, generating significant public interest while preserving the surprise and emotional impact of Spielberg's carefully crafted third act. The release strategy for Disclosure Day was carefully planned by Universal Pictures to position the film as one of the studio's flagship cinematic events of 2026. Although the science fiction thriller was originally scheduled for theatrical release on May 15, 2026, the studio later adjusted its release calendar, moving the film to June 12, 2026 to provide additional time for post-production, visual effects, and the completion of John Williams' orchestral score, while also securing a more favorable position in the competitive summer movie season. The revised release date allowed Universal to launch a comprehensive global marketing campaign and maximize the film's exposure during one of the busiest periods of the theatrical calendar, positioning Disclosure Day as a major early summer blockbuster from acclaimed filmmaker Steven Spielberg. Ahead of its worldwide theatrical rollout, the film embarked on an international premiere tour that celebrated its release in several of the world's most prestigious cinematic venues. Disclosure Day held its world premiere on June 2, 2026, at the historic Le Grand Rex in Paris, France, one of Europe's most renowned movie palaces. The premiere welcomed Steven Spielberg, members of the principal cast, filmmakers, international media representatives, film critics, industry executives, and invited guests for the first public screening of the completed film. The event generated significant global media coverage, with early reactions praising Spielberg's direction, the performances of the ensemble cast, and John Williams' evocative musical score. The Paris premiere also marked the beginning of the film's international promotional tour, further building anticipation ahead of its theatrical debut. Just 2 days later, on June 4, 2026, Disclosure Day celebrated its United Kingdom premiere at Cineworld Leicester Square in London, one of the country's most prestigious venues for major Hollywood premieres. The red carpet event featured appearances by members of the cast and creative team and attracted extensive attention from British media outlets, entertainment journalists, and film enthusiasts. The London premiere further strengthened international excitement surrounding the film while introducing it to audiences in one of the world's largest theatrical markets before its general release. The film's final major premiere took place in the United States on June 8, 2026, at the David H. Koch Theater within Lincoln Center in New York City. Serving as the film's official American premiere, the event brought together Spielberg, the principal cast, filmmakers, industry professionals, members of the press, and invited audiences for the first domestic screening. Held only days before the nationwide theatrical release, The premiere generated enthusiastic reactions from critics and entertainment media, many of whom praised the film's blend of suspense, emotional storytelling, and classic Spielberg-style science fiction. The event also marked the culmination of the film's carefully orchestrated promotional campaign, which had spent months building anticipation while deliberately concealing the film's climactic third act. Following its premiere tour, Disclosure Day began its theatrical rollout internationally. The film first opened in the United Kingdom on June 10, 2026, where it received an exclusive launch in IMAX theaters, allowing audiences to experience Spielberg's expansive visual storytelling on premium large-format screens before its wider global release. The IMAX presentations showcased the film's sweeping cinematography, large-scale action sequences, and intricate visual effects with enhanced image clarity and immersive sound, emphasizing the scale and spectacle of Spielberg's latest science fiction production. 2 days later, on June 12, 2026, Disclosure Day was released theatrically across the United States by Universal Pictures, launching nationwide in thousands of theaters as one of the studio's major summer releases. In addition to standard digital exhibition, the film was presented in numerous premium large-format (PLF) auditoriums, including IMAX, providing audiences with an enhanced cinematic experience featuring superior projection quality, larger screens, and immersive multi-channel audio systems. Spielberg strongly encouraged viewers to experience the film in theaters, believing that its visual scale, atmospheric sound design, and John Williams' orchestral score were intended to be experienced on the largest screens possible. To further celebrate the tradition of theatrical filmmaking, Disclosure Day also received the limited release on 70mm film. Although the production was photographed primarily on 35mm film, selected prints were blown up to 70mm for exhibition in specially equipped theaters. This premium analog presentation offered audiences a distinctive large-format viewing experience that paid tribute to classic cinematic exhibition while highlighting Spielberg's enduring appreciation for traditional film formats. The 70mm engagements complemented the film's digital IMAX and other premium large-format presentations, providing cinephiles with multiple opportunities to experience the film using high-quality exhibition technologies. The carefully coordinated international premiere tour, premium format strategy, and staggered theatrical rollout reflected Universal Pictures' confidence in Disclosure Day as one of the studio's most significant releases of 2026. By combining prestigious red carpet premieres in Paris, London, and New York City with extensive availability in IMAX, 70mm, and other premium theatrical formats, the studio positioned the film as a major cinematic event designed to be experienced on the big screen. The release strategy successfully reinforced the film's status as one of Steven Spielberg's most ambitious science fiction productions in recent years, attracting audiences worldwide while showcasing its breathtaking visuals, immersive sound design, and emotionally resonant storytelling in the highest quality theatrical presentations available. As of July 6, 2026, Disclosure Day has emerged as one of the year's most successful original theatrical releases, grossing $105.1 million in the United States and Canada and an additional $111.2 million from international markets, bringing its worldwide box office total to $216.3 million. The film's strong global performance has demonstrated the continued commercial appeal of original, filmmaker-driven science fiction, particularly under the direction of Steven Spielberg, whose reputation and long-standing relationship with audiences helped establish the film as a major summer event. The impressive earnings also reinforced Universal Pictures' confidence in the project, validating its substantial investment and production and an estimated $80 million worldwide marketing campaign. By surpassing the $200 million milestone within its first month of release, Disclosure Day became one of the highest-grossing original films of 2026 and further strengthened Spielberg's remarkable track record of delivering commercially successful theatrical releases. Industry analysts had expressed confidence in the film's box office prospects well before its release, although its eventual performance exceeded several early forecasts. On May 29, 2026, Approximately 2 weeks before the North American release, Box Office Pro projected that the film would earn between $40 million and $50 million during its domestic opening weekend, citing Spielberg's enduring popularity, the strength of the marketing campaign, and growing audience interest in original science fiction. As excitement continued to build following the film's successful international premiere tour and positive early critical reactions, industry expectations increased. By June 10, entertainment publication Deadline Hollywood projected that Disclosure Day would generate approximately $65 million worldwide during its opening weekend, reflecting heightened confidence in the film's global commercial appeal. The film began its domestic theatrical run with a strong start, earning $6.5 million from Thursday preview screenings across the United States. The encouraging preview results signaled robust audience interest and suggested that Spielberg's latest science fiction thriller would perform solidly throughout its opening weekend. On Friday, including preview grosses, the film collected $19.1 million, placing it firmly on course for a successful debut and outperforming several pre-release industry expectations. Following its first full weekend in theaters, Disclosure Day debuted at number 1 at the North American box office, earning $44 million from 3,824 theaters across the United States and Canada. Internationally, the film performed equally well, generating an additional $49 million from 73 overseas markets, resulting in a worldwide opening weekend total of $93 million. The strong global debut confirmed the film's broad international appeal and demonstrated that Spielberg's reputation, combined with the film's science fiction premise and positive word of mouth, resonated with audiences across multiple territories. The opening weekend also established Disclosure Day as one of the strongest launches for an original Hollywood production during the 2026 summer season. Audience demographics further highlighted the film's broad appeal. According to opening weekend statistics, approximately 60% of moviegoers were 35 years of age or older, indicating that the film successfully attracted mature audiences familiar with Spielberg's earlier classics while also drawing younger viewers interested in contemporary science fiction. Additionally, 48% of the domestic opening weekend revenue came from premium large-format screenings, including IMAX and other enhanced theatrical presentations. This exceptionally high premium format share reflected audiences' desire to experience Spielberg's visually ambitious filmmaking and John Williams' orchestral score on the largest screens available, contributing significantly to the film's strong box office performance. The film's opening weekend also represented an important milestone within Steven Spielberg's career. Disclosure Day became the highest opening original film directed by Spielberg and produced by Amblin Entertainment that was not based on any previously established intellectual property, underscoring the continued commercial viability of original storytelling from one of cinema's most influential filmmakers. In an era increasingly dominated by sequels, remakes, and franchise films, the success of Disclosure Day demonstrated that audiences remained willing to support ambitious original science fiction when backed by an acclaimed filmmaker and a compelling marketing campaign. Industry observers were particularly optimistic about the film's international prospects. Following the opening weekend, David A. Gross, publisher of the box office newsletter Franchise Re, noted that science fiction thrillers have historically performed especially well in overseas markets because their visual storytelling often transcends language barriers. Gross observed that the film's worldwide appeal and accessible science fiction themes positioned it for continued success throughout its theatrical run, explaining that visually driven stories tend to resonate strongly with international audiences regardless of cultural or linguistic differences. His analysis suggested that foreign markets could ultimately play a decisive role in determining the film's long-term commercial performance. During its second weekend, Disclosure Day experienced the typical decline associated with major blockbuster releases but continued to post solid overall results. The film fell to second place at the domestic box office after a 60% decline, earning an additional $17 million in the United States and Canada. Internationally, however, the film maintained impressive momentum, adding approximately $50 million from overseas territories. By the conclusion of its second weekend, The film had accumulated an estimated $161 million worldwide, reflecting sustained audience interest across global markets despite increased competition from new theatrical releases. The film's early commercial success also represented a significant achievement within Spielberg's recent filmography. After only 2 weeks in theaters, Disclosure Day had already generated a worldwide gross that exceeded the combined global box office totals of Spielberg's 2 previous theatrical releases, West Side Story, 2021, which earned approximately $76 million worldwide, and The Fabelmans, 2022, which concluded its theatrical run with roughly $45.6 million globally. This remarkable accomplishment underscored the film's broad mainstream appeal and reaffirmed Spielberg's ability to attract large theatrical audiences with original, high-concept storytelling. As of July 6, 2026, with a worldwide gross of $216.3 million, Disclosure Day had firmly established itself as Steven Spielberg's most commercially successful feature film since Ready Player One, 2018, which earned approximately $607.8 million worldwide. The film's impressive financial performance not only reinforced Spielberg's enduring status as one of Hollywood's most successful filmmakers but also demonstrated the continuing strength of original science fiction in the global theatrical marketplace. Supported by positive critical reception, strong audience interest, premium format attendance, and exceptional international performance, Disclosure Day continues to enjoy a successful theatrical run and remains one of the standout box office achievements of the 2026 summer movie season. Disclosure Day received a strongly positive critical reception, with reviewers widely praising Steven Spielberg's confident direction, Emily Blunt's emotionally powerful lead performance, John Williams' evocative orchestral score, the film's ambitious storytelling, and its visually immersive presentation. While some critics expressed reservations about certain aspects of the screenplay and visual effects, the overall consensus recognized the film as one of Spielberg's strongest and most emotionally resonant works in recent years. Many reviewers highlighted its combination of classic science fiction spectacle with deeply human themes, noting that the film successfully blends suspense, mystery, emotional drama, and philosophical reflection into a cinematic experience that recalls Spielberg's earlier masterpieces while presenting a distinctly contemporary perspective on government secrecy, extraterrestrial life, and humanity's capacity for hope. On the review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes, 80% of 406 critics' reviews are positive, with the film holding an average rating of 7.2 out of 10. The site's critical consensus states, a humanistic variation on one of Steven Spielberg's most revisited themes, Disclosure Day's breathless pursuit of optimism in an age of conspiracy gets its biggest boost from career highlight work by Emily Blunt. The consensus reflects the widespread opinion that although the film revisits familiar Spielberg themes including wonder, extraterrestrial contact, and the enduring strength of human compassion, it does so with sincerity, emotional depth, and an exceptional central performance from Blunt that elevates the material beyond a conventional science fiction thriller. On Metacritic, which assigns a weighted average based on selected reviews from mainstream critics, Disclosure Day received a score of 74 out of 100 based on 63 professional reviews, indicating generally favorable reviews. Audience reception was similarly positive, although somewhat more measured than the critical response. Moviegoers surveyed by CinemaScore awarded the film an overall grade of B on the organization's traditional A+ to F scale, while audience research firm PostTrack reported that 61% of viewers said they would definitely recommend the film to others. These results suggested that while the film's thoughtful pacing and philosophical themes differed from those of a traditional summer blockbuster, audiences nevertheless responded positively to its emotional storytelling and ambitious scope. A significant portion of the critical acclaim focused on Steven Spielberg's direction, with many reviewers praising his ability to combine large-scale spectacle with intimate human drama. Critics noted that despite being one of the most influential filmmakers in cinema history, Spielberg continues to approach science fiction with the sense of curiosity, emotional sincerity, and optimism that remains distinctive within the modern blockbuster landscape. Many reviewers also commended his restraint, observing that the film emphasizes character development and emotional connection as much as visual spectacle, allowing its science fiction concepts to resonate on a personal level rather than functioning solely as action-driven entertainment. Among the film's strongest critical supporters was Pete Hammond of Deadline Hollywood, who praised Disclosure Day as a science fiction film with far greater ambitions than simply entertaining audiences. Hammond wrote that the film has so much more on its mind than just to entertain, while also observing that Spielberg hasn't lost his own sense of wonder. He commended the director's ability to create an emotionally engaging experience that balances thrilling cinematic spectacle with thoughtful exploration of humanity, hope, and the search for truth. Writing for Gizmodo, Germain Lussier described the film as an exhilarating sci-fi spectacle, praising Spielberg's command of cinematic storytelling and emotional pacing. Lussier argued that Spielberg puts the audience in the palm of his hand and takes us on an emotionally charged ride filled with mystery, excitement, spectacle, and meaning, highlighting the director's exceptional ability to guide viewers through moments of suspense, awe, and emotional revelation while maintaining complete control over the film's tone and narrative momentum. David Ehrlich of IndieWire awarded the film a B+, observing that although Disclosure Day may initially appear to function as a spiritual successor to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, it ultimately shares stronger thematic connections with Spielberg's more recent character-driven works. Ehrlich praised the director's fluid visual storytelling and emotional sincerity, describing the film as typically earnest and fantastic entertainment. At the same time, he acknowledged that some of its ambitious ideas occasionally become unwieldy, suggesting that while Spielberg's direction remains consistently elegant, portions of the screenplay struggle to fully develop every philosophical concept introduced throughout the narrative. Similarly enthusiastic was David Rooney of The Hollywood Reporter, who described Disclosure Day as spellbinding and hailed it as an essential addition to Spielberg's rich body of work. Rooney reserved particular praise for Emily Blunt, calling her performance simply breathtaking and never more magnetic. He highlighted Blunt's ability to portray both vulnerability and quiet strength, arguing that her emotionally nuanced performance provides the dramatic foundation upon which the film's larger science fiction narrative successfully rests. In The Guardian, Peter Bradshaw awarded the film 4 out of 5 stars, describing it as consistently entertaining while celebrating its combination of large-scale action, humor, and heartfelt emotion. Bradshaw wrote that the film is never anything other than entertaining and grade A fun, praising its exhilarating chase sequences, energetic pacing, memorable dialogue, and what he regarded as a career-best performance from Emily Blunt. He further commended Spielberg's ability to balance blockbuster excitement with genuine emotional resonance, a quality that has long distinguished the director's finest work. Not every critic was entirely convinced by the film's approach. Owen Gleiberman of Variety characterized Disclosure Day as a vigorous and diverting ride, acknowledging its entertainment value and technical craftsmanship while arguing that Spielberg occasionally relies too heavily on decades of established UFO mythology. Gleiberman suggested that although the film is engaging and visually accomplished, it never fully achieves the overwhelming sense of wonder and transcendence that define Close Encounters of the Third Kind, leaving it emotionally satisfying but ultimately less groundbreaking than Spielberg's earlier science fiction classics. Several critics, however, offered more negative assessments. Robbie Cullen of The Telegraph described the film as unquestionably a big swing but argued that it ultimately only glancingly connects. While acknowledging Spielberg's ambition, Cullen criticized the screenplay for what he considered an unfocused narrative, describing the plot as woolly and suggesting that the film struggles to balance its serious philosophical ideas with moments of lighter adventure and humor. Likewise, Nicholas Barber of the BBC offered a largely unfavorable review, characterizing Disclosure Day as a flimsy, outdated car chase thriller with no ideas about aliens that we haven't heard before. Barber argued that despite Spielberg's polished direction, the film's central concepts failed to introduce sufficiently fresh perspectives to the science fiction genre. Visual effects also received occasional criticism. Amy Nicholson of the Los Angeles Times praised certain individual visual moments but expressed disappointment with several of the computer-generated creatures featured throughout the film. She argued that many of the CG animals and extraterrestrial beings appeared stiff, singling out only a close-up shot of an eye as particularly impressive. Although the visual effects were generally viewed as effective by most reviewers, Nicholson's observations reflected a minority opinion that some digital imagery lacked the realism achieved elsewhere in Spielberg's otherwise technically accomplished production. One of the most unexpected aspects of the film's critical reception centered on Courtney Grace, the former television news anchor who portrays the unnamed NBC anchorwoman during the film's emotionally charged final act. Despite appearing only briefly, Grace's performance attracted widespread acclaim from critics and audiences, generating significant discussion across social media and entertainment publications. Many reviewers considered her final broadcast sequence one of the film's most emotionally affecting moments. Karina Adelgard of Heaven of Horror described Grace's work as the most heart-wrenching, honest, and breathtaking performance in the film, calling the actress simply mesmerizing. Grace later revealed that she had been unaware of the true narrative importance of her role until attending the film's United States premiere in New York City, where she watched the completed film for the first time alongside the audience. The overwhelmingly positive reaction to her performance transformed what had initially appeared to be a relatively small supporting role into one of the film's most memorable and widely praised contributions. Overall, Disclosure Day has been recognized as one of the most critically successful releases of 2026, with reviewers praising its ambitious storytelling, emotional sincerity, spectacular direction, memorable performances, and classic Spielbergian sense of wonder. Although some critics questioned aspects of its screenplay and visual effects, the overwhelming consensus views the film as a thoughtful, emotionally engaging, and visually accomplished science fiction thriller that successfully combines blockbuster entertainment with meaningful reflections on truth, hope, and humanity's shared future, reaffirming Steven Spielberg's status as one of cinema's most accomplished storytellers. Review Disclosure Day invites you into its world with a kick to the face, or maybe it's a stomp. Whatever it is, this opening sequence, in a garish professional wrestling ring, is bound to wake you up and make you wonder. First, if you're in the right movie, and second, if Steven Spielberg has lost it. And he doesn't make you guess for long where he's going. The camera soon finds the one person in this frenzied crowd who is as worried and befuddled as we are. His name is Daniel Callner. He's played by Josh O'Connor, the perfect grown-up Spielberg kid, and he is already in the middle of his adventure. The suits have found him, put a gun to his side and confiscated his backpack. A girl, Jane, has been taken hostage, and we as the audience are on a non-stop ride of discovery, wonder and thrills and, thankfully, no more wrestling. Disclosure Day, in theaters Friday, is a classic, big-hearted Spielberg adventure through and through, with ordinary people rebelling against shadowy secret keepers in the name of the truth. Indiana Jones wanted antiquities in museums for all to see. Daniel, and the team of people who convinced him to steal files from a private cybersecurity firm, want the world to know that there is life elsewhere, and they have made contact. Nearly 50 years after Roy Neary's Close Encounter, Spielberg isn't so much asking questions this time, he's blowing the whistle, in classic paranoid conspiracy thriller style, although this is decidedly more romantic than 70s era cynical, with a turtleneck Colin Firth as the malevolent leader of Wardex, the company seeking to keep this information under wraps. The story, conceived by Spielberg and scripted by David Cope, finds us in a time and place that looks like our own. Attention is on a global conflict brewing. There are passing references to World War III, and some hysterical hoarding at the local gas station. But on a certain level everyone is going about business as usual, including local Kansas City, Missouri, broadcaster Margaret Fairchild, Emily Blunt, who is trapped in weather girl mode but dreams of reporting serious news. As in many Spielberg films, there is a spiritual element to the proceedings of Disclosure Day, with the believers, the skeptics and the scared all crashing into one another and slouching toward revelation. Daniel's girlfriend, Jane, an excellent Eve Hewson, is a former nun who has questions and concerns